Good morning. This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Friday, July 26th. On the impact map, lots of things going on. We still have the scattered showers and thunderstorms, mixed wet and dry given by the yellow circle, starting to sink further south and east, but the bigger concern will be the breezes that will be kicking up both in the central Idaho mountains, along the Sierra front in western Nevada, and also starting down in the south. Winds 25 to 35 miles per hour, even winds 20 miles an hour are an issue, and we've had lots of recent lightning. You see the humidity drying out into the teens to near 10% in a lot of areas. Now tomorrow will be our wind concern and holdover concern will significantly shift to the south. This darker brown color indicates wind gusts possibly 35 to as high as 45 miles an hour, and that humidity drops into the upper single digits and low teens. Continued breezes where they've had lightning along the Sierra front as well, and those winds in the south continue again on Sunday. We'll be watching this lightning up here for the possibility of some new starts. Fuels on the surface have been moistened just a little bit. Precipitation the last 24 hours, a mix of wet and dry. In some cases in the southern sawtooth of Idaho, quite wet, near an inch of rain. Same for the central Idaho mountains. Other areas maybe a little bit less. You can see the concentration of lightning across a good portion of southern Idaho and much of the southern half of the geographic area. And as the drier air pushes in, this is going to be an issue. And speaking of issues, this is lightning for the past 4 days, basically covering the entire Great Basin. So as the drier air pushes in, whether it's windy or not, holdover is still going to be a strong possibility. You can see a lot of those in the new starts in the red. Recent fires in the yellow. Open circles delineate larger fires. So far, our past 24-hour fire activity here on the left side. Precipitation outside of yesterday, the wettest was right along the Nevada, Utah border, and also in parts of the central Idaho mountains where the green areas indicate about a half inch to an inch. Otherwise, much lighter amounts. Now, over the past 2 weeks, the drought index, the flash drought index, indicates where conditions in the central Idaho mountains have deteriorated quite a bit, whereas we've had some moderation across western Utah and eastern and southern portions of Nevada, and that's minimized fire activity, fire growth there for now, but that will be changing. ERCs reflect some of that. We see the greens returning to a good portion of Nevada, and we've been drying out across eastern areas and kind of a mix up in Idaho, depending on whether you were one of the 30% of areas that had a wetting rain or if you just missed out with a few drops. The 100-hour fuels taking a little bit of a hit here. This lighter yellow indicates fuel moisture above 10%. The gold still in the upper single digits. Now the upper level map for later this afternoon indicates a trough low pressure off the northern California coast. This will trigger more showers and thunderstorms. This area in the black. This will be the best chances for thunderstorms. Notice drier air and also windy conditions pushing in upper level winds here, 40 miles an hour up along the Salmon River. We do have high risk for wind there as that drier air pushes in. Same for the western portion of Nevada and the Sierra front with all the lightning that we've had. Elsewhere, our surface fuels and RHs have moistened up quite a bit, at least in the short term. You can see those winds here on the left in the orange, gusts near 30. Also upper 20s near 30 in northwest Nevada. The humidity quite dry in western Nevada and starting to dry into the teens to near 20%. It was mostly 20 to 30% here for a couple of days in Idaho. Precipitation, most of that will be retreating off to the east. Some of it could be a little bit on the wetter side. Now on Saturday, there's another disturbance that could trigger some more lightning isolated up here in the north. Otherwise, increasing winds, very dry air punching in with the wind, so our wind concern will shift to the south and east. You can see a large area of high risk also for the Sierra front, and we see those winds starting to see those purple colors, and those are gusts in the 40s, even approaching towards 50, and still quite breezy in the Sierra front. The humidity quite dry in the south, drying out everywhere, so we're going to have IA issues. Tale of two different models. This is the high-resolution WRF model showing some pockets of half-inch or more of rainfall in a larger area of coverage, whereas our GFS model shows more of a dryish lightning look to it. So we'll have to see how these models resolve themselves. But on Sunday, still that dry push and windy conditions. We have high risk down south. There'll be some cloud buildups, but just seasonal conditions, maybe a little cooler up in the north. But again, most of our fuels go back to critical, so holdover is a good possibility. Single digits of humidity in the south, upper teens near 20 in the north. You can see those winds again in the south, gusting well over 30 miles an hour. 3-day precipitation totals indicated here. The deep monsoon still across the southern half of Nevada and New Mexico. And it's going to stay there for at least a little bit. Dry air plunges in, so we have more issues here with the wind, so a little bit more area of high risk. Also high risk for winds returning here ahead of this Pacific Northwest trough of low pressure. So we'll have holdover issues and wind issues into early next week. And that dry air, again, pushes in, so holdovers are going to be a big mainstay. And big high pressure builds in, so we start warming up, heating up, I should say, towards the middle of the week. And by Thursday, big monster high pressure ridge builds in. The winds will die down. That's the good news. But again, with fire established in heavy fuels, that could be a big concern for those fires getting big in terms of fuel-dominated fires. Also, return of some moisture in the far south, maybe some isolated thunderstorms returning. And after some dry periods, that could possibly ignite new fires. It's not going to be very wet. The deep monsoon is nowhere to be found. You can see it down here in the south, otherwise just spotty light precipitation. And the 8 to 14 day shows that monster ridge with the heat continues to build, just near record heat, where you see this dark red, just above normal temperatures everywhere. And keep in mind, early August is very hot. Near normal precipitation, maybe some of that higher precip amounts in the far south, but no relief in sight. That concludes our briefing. Have a great day.